morning. Good morning. This is the November 16th Governing Board regular meeting, and I'm calling the meeting to order. And if you would, stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we do have a quorum. We have all 9 directors here this morning. And before we get started, just a little housekeeping. This is a voting meeting of the governing board, and according to Arizona Revised Statute 33-1804, this is an open meeting, which means that cardholders will be allowed to make comments before a vote on an issue. And at the end of the meeting, after the directors have had their final comments, we will allow cardholders to have additional comments. So we're going to move right in. Mr. Jones, are you prepared?
Yes, I thought you said car owners.
Of course. Can you step out here?
Okay. Well, on behalf of Auto Restoration Club in Sun City West, our premier club in Sun City West, we are paying down our debt to the rec center. We've already paid off the first building, and now we have the second building, the paint shop, which was a $400,000. So we're down, well, with this payment, we should be down to $375,000. But as somebody said, it only takes one check. So whoever out there wants to issue that check, we'll name something after you. I'm on the properties committee. We went through that properties naming rights. For that kind of money, we'll name something. Sure.
Runs at the check. Okay, thank you. As you can see from our agenda, we have a packed schedule today. We're going to try to move through this as quickly as we can. New business, approval of minutes. The amended minutes from the October 26th regular meeting. Are there any changes or corrections? Seeing none, they will stand as written. Moving into new business. 4.01, a motion. Mr. Leary?
I move that the governing board approve the language revisions to policy L05 general, posting of signs and distribution of literature, section 1.0 as redlined.
Do we have a second? Second. All right. What this is, last year, the state legislature passed a bill that gave prescriptions for association-specific political activity. So we divided L04, policy L04, and added L13, which was association-specific activities. And when we did that, L05 had a reference to L4, but it did not have a reference to L13. So what we did was added a reference in L13, or in L5 to L13. So do we have any discussion on this? All right. We have any comments on this?
Good morning. I'm Sharon Heddick, and I'm do you want me to repeat my rec card? 106159. I came today because here's a copy of SB 2158, and in there's a specific reference to signs that is written specifically for planned communities. It's line 17J, and it says a planned community shall not require political signs to be commercially produced or professionally manufactured, or prohibited the utilization of both sides of a political sign. Your L13, which you're referring to in this memo, states differently. So one of the two has to be changed, because that's a statute in the Arizona law.
But we're talking about changing L5.
I know, but you're referring to L13, so I
That's
didn't,
right.
and there's nothing L13 on your schedule, but so I need to make sure that it gets changed before you start referring political signs to it, because it does affect what you say.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, and it's, I'll leave this for you because it specifically has your information. It's 1.2.3 that is incorrect in the state law.
Okay, thank you. Jack, would you read the motion again, please?
I move that the governing board approve the language revisions to policy L05 general, posting of signs and distribution of literature, section 1.0 as redlined.
All right, we're going to do a voice vote, starting with Christine. Yes, approves the motion, no, denies the motion.
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
All right, the motion passes. Moving on to 4.02. Mr. Rhodes?
4.02 is the certification of the reserve fund investment strategy. Per the recommendation of the Budget and Finance Committee, the reserve fund investment strategy is in compliance with policy FI12, investment of association funds, subsection 4.3.2.2.
Do we have a second? Jack seconds it. All right, Dick, will you explain what this is, please?
The Budget and Finance Committee is required every year to certify that our investment firm is in compliance with our investment strategy. When you read FI12, it is very specific of exactly what type of investment products the investment firm can use. They're very prescriptive, and we turn the decision over to the investment advisory firm on which products to buy. Any deviation from that by others is simply an opinion. We have clearly, when we heard the heard the presentation by Cap Trust, it's very clear that they understand our expectations. It's very clear that they operate within the parameters of our definition of the types of products that they're to purchase, and it's very clear that they are in compliance with FI12.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments for Dick? Lisa?
Thank you, President Hurley. So Director Rhodes, just to confirm, there are no changes to FI12, correct?
There are no changes to FI12.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Anyone from the audience? Okay, Dick, would you read the motion again, please?
Per the recommendation of the Budget and Finance Committee, the Reserve Fund Investment Strategy is in compliance with policy FI12, investment of association funds, subsection 4.3.2.2.
All right, we'll do a voice vote, starting with Terry. Yes, approves the motion, no, denies it.
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Director Novello?
Yes.
All right, moving right along. Dick, I think you have another one.
This is regarding the independent audit report. Per recommendation of the Budget and Finance Committee, I move that the governing board adopt the revised FY 2022-23 Clifton Larson Allen audit report per RCSCW policy.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Christine seconds. All right, Dick, will you explain this, please?
I do. I've actually wrote down a statement. Is during the presentation of the FY 22-23 audit report by CLA, the Budget and Finance Committee, one of our members, Mr. Frank Bignato, identified a reporting error. It was not an accounting error, it was a reporting error. The error pertained to the
Dick, I
assessment.
think that may be the next one. I think that may be the next motion, the revised CL.
This is it.
Now, we're talking about the CLA audit approval.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the reason for the revised.
Okay. Go ahead.
The error pertained to an assessment allocation in the reserve fund on page 14, note 2, the financial statement report. CLA corrected the error and reissued the financial statement report of the audit. There are no changes to the reports or to the findings. This is the reason why we had to have an amended report.
Okay. Are there any questions for Dick? Comments? Any questions from the audience? All right, Dick, would you read the motion 4.03 again, please?
Per the recommendation of the B&F Committee, I move the governing board adopt the revised FY 22-23 Clifton Larson Allen audit report per the RCSCW policy.
All right, voice vote starting with Christine. Yes, approves the motion, no denies it.
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
All right, it passes. You have another one, Dick.
This is for the filing of the CLA report. The revised FY 22-23 audit report has been reviewed and accepted by the Budget and Finance Committee and adopted by the government, and it's been filed.
All right, this requires no board action.
No.
Thank you. All right, Director Vines, Lizard Acres update, 4.06.
Thank you, President Hurley. First off, Terry, do we have an updated picture from the architect? I believe. Perfect, thank you, I appreciate it. So, thanks to Carl Wilhelm. His committee has been working extremely hard on this. This was brought forward because Lizard Acres was basically started on a shoestring budget about 2.5 years ago or so, and it has far exceeded our expectations, and we found the need to make some improvements on Lizard Acres. And in moving forward with that, Carl, I don't know if you want to come forward to the mic as well. Maybe if I miss something, you can jump in. But we found the need to bring forward some stationary tables, so tables weren't being taken from the bowling alley area from the concourse. And in doing that, there was a need for a firewall then to be added, correct, Carl? And we needed a larger bar area that you can see down the left side of the drawing. This would also be able to make us ADA compliant. And all in all, this, I mean, additional cooler space as well, Carl, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so all in all, this is extremely good. This Lizard Acres has not only continues to sustain itself, but continues to make money every month for the bowling alley and for RCSCW. This is a win-win all the way around. So this is something I think we need to move forward with. And
Okay. Any questions or comments for Lisa? All right, in my haste, I'm sorry, Dick, did you have a comment? In my haste, I jumped over 4.04, policy FI 11.
oh,
Director
I think
Rhodes.
we missed two of them. Two of
Yes.
them, actually.
This is not going to be a 2-hour meeting.
So
There's big money riding on
do
this.
you want to
What did you mean by that?
were we done with Lizard Acres or?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, the first policy, or the first issue I want to talk about is FI 11. It's the disbursement authorization. This policy has been reviewed by the Budget and Finance Committee, and we found no reason to change or edit anything in it. And so we're proposing that this be reviewed as no change.
All right, that requires no action. Proceed.
Our second one is policy on petty cash disbursements. It's policy statement FI20. And the same is true on this policy. It has been presented to the Budget and Finance Committee, and our members have taken a look at this. We have reviewed it and find no reason to propose any changes, so there would be no action.
Okay, no action required. We're going to jump back to Director Vines. Your revised bowling policy, or policy 01.
Thank you, President Hurley. So, BO1, we have had to make some corrections to this policy. And in 1.0, we've had to update to resident card holder. This is to match the current policies that we've adjusted. So if you'll follow along with the policy names and numbers, we've corrected to BO3, BO2, BO3, BO4, and BO5. Then we've corrected the names along with it to say resident card holder, guest bowling, non-resident bowling, bowling tournaments, and bowling special events, and bowling leagues. Therefore, all those changes match the policy numbers and names. If we move down to 2.0, into the second paragraph, sports pavilion monitors / leads shall have discretion regarding any daily sports pavilion activities and/or participation. This is so that in the event that people come in, want a lane, and the staff can make the determination if there are lanes available, they can give them a lane. If it's time for leagues, then there are no lanes available, we move on.
Would you read the motion, please?
Of course. Per recommendation of the Sports Pavilion Bowling Committee, I move that the governing board approve the engrossed language changes to Sports Pavilion Bowling Policy B01, Sports Pavilion and Bowling as redlined.
Do we have a second? Ellen seconds. All right, you've explained what it is. Do we have any comments or questions for Lisa on this? Okay, Sienna, do we have any comments from the audience?
Hello, Board. My name is Paul Kleckner, 128508. I'd like to start out first with just an outline of the parameters as I believe provide the authority for the B-Series policies. As we look at the governing documents, we find there is specific order of precedence as provided in the bylaws. And to paraphrase, the precedence is CCRs, articles of corporation, bylaws, facility agreements, policies of the governing board, and RRPs. As we look further at the general powers of the governing board as recognized by paragraph 4.18.17, it states, determine in what manner and to what extent senior non-residents of Sun City West living in neighboring communities may be extended association bowling privileges. If we compare that to bylaw 4.18.18, which specifically addresses golf, the only difference between those two paragraphs is that in bowling it says senior non-residents, and in bowling it says non-residents. For that reason, I suggest we add back into all references to senior, rather than just simply non-residents, that have been redlined or were non-resident is used. This would include references to BO3 title, which should be senior not resident bowling, vice non-resident bowling. Not doing so would, and I believe, a violation of the bylaws of the association. It's clear that the difference between those two policy statements, or bylaw statements rather, it's clear that there is an emphasis to limit the availability of bowling center usage as opposed to golf. Thank you.
Okay. You want to make a reply to that?
Yes, thank you. When we were reviewing the policies, this was addressed at the November 8th Sports Pavilion meeting. We noted that our surrounding communities, such as the Grand, their age limit having a specific amount of age limit 45. Also, we have many, many leagues that our age limit is down to 45. So that's why we looked at the age limit as 45, and we addressed it as such in our policies.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Would you read the motion again, please, Lisa?
Per recommendation of the Sports Pavilion Bowling Committees, I move that the governing board approve the in-gross language changes to Sports Pavilion Bowling Policy B01, Sports Pavilion and Bowling as redlined.
Okay, we're going to do a voice vote, starting with Director Novello.
Yes.
I'm sorry, yes, supports the motion, no denies it.
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Terry? All right, moving right along. Director Vines?
Sorry. For policy B02, with the red line card holder, guest bowling. This is a brand-new policy. We found the need to implement a new policy because there was a lot of confusion for not just resident, but non-residents as well. So we broke it out to residents and non-residents and implemented a new policy. And B02 was the new policy that was created for resident cardholder guest bowling. And so this is a brand-new policy. So 1.0 is the policy establishes the parameters by which cardholder guests of Sun City West residents may participate in bowling at the Sports Pavilion. Resident cardholder guests are defined as individuals who are not RCSCW cardholders, but are visiting as guests of cardholders. 2.0 policy. The Sports Pavilion manager, under the direction of general manager, shall grant the approval for resident cardholder guest bowling based on availability of open lanes. 3.0, guest policies. 3.1, resident cardholder guest 18 years old and under must at all times be accompanied by an adult, ages 19 plus. 3.2, resident cardholder guests must be checked in by the resident cardholder and do not need to be accompanied. 4.0, 4.1, for open bowling, resident cardholder guests shall pay the bowling fees established by the governing board.
Okay, would you read the motion, please?
Per recommendation of Sports Pavilion Bowling Committee, I move that the governing board approve new Sports Pavilion Bowling Policy B02, resident cardholder guest bowling as redlined.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, seconds. All right. Any other comments or questions from the directors for Director Vines?
Terry?
Terry?
No?
Any comments from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we're going to take a voice vote. A yes vote supports the motion, no vote denies the motion. We're going to start with Director Hammond.
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Director Novello?
Yes.
All right, this passes. All right, moving right along. And before you give this explanation, would you read the motion first, please?
Yes. Okay. Per recommendation of the Sports Pavilion Bowling Committee, I move that the governing board approve the in-gross language changes to Sports Pavilion Bowling Policy B03, non-resident bowling, as redlined.
All right, do we have a second? Jack seconds. All right, Lisa, would you explain it, please?
Okay, B03 has been renamed, was previously B02. The word senior has been stricken throughout the policy. It is now just non-resident bowling. We also struck RC, SCW, and just named it resident card holders throughout. You can see in 3.0, it's resident, non-resident bowling. And then we added 3.4 at the bottom. In groups of 6 or less, including the bowler, at least one person must be 45 years of age or older. Any questions?
Do you hit 3.05?
Oh, I'm sorry, wait, I apologize. 3.5, non-resident guest, 18 years old and under, must at all times be accompanied by an adult ages 45 plus. And then 4.0, senior's just been stricken. 4.2, senior was stricken, all was added, and ages 45 plus was removed.
All right, any questions? Director Rhodes?
Lisa, I don't quite understand, what does it mean prior to the changes? What did the reference to senior mean in there? A senior non-resident bowling, you took it out, but would you explain again why we even had it in there?
This policy used to just say senior non-resident bowling, but because we allow, many of our leagues have ages 45 plus.
Okay, all right, I understand.
Okay.
Depends on the definition of senior.
And we could not come, if you attended or watched our May and June meetings, nobody could come up with a definition for senior, responsible adult, so we had to just strike those words.
Okay.
I challenge you to come up with a definition for responsible adult in this community.
I was actually just thinking about that and looking in the audience and looking up here, and I'm thinking, I don't think I would qualify.
No, it was, quite comical, because we had somebody say they had somebody who was 18 who was very responsible and somebody who was 85 who was not responsible at all. So.
Okay, do we have any more comments, questions? If not, anyone from the audience have a comment or question on this? All right, seeing none, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no, Pete.
I'm back again.
Name and rec number again, please.
Pardon?
Name and rec number again, please.
Oh, Paul Kleckner, 128508. As I mentioned previously, the governing powers of the board is recognized in what was up there, paragraph 2, the authority was 4.18.17, which specifically identifies senior non-residents. I believe that senior should be added in all paragraphs within BO3, which is paragraph 1, 3, 3.1, and 3.3. In paragraph 1, since non-resident bowler, and we're talking about senior non-resident bowlers, was identified as 45 years or older for non-resident carders, my suggestion is to delete paragraph 3.4, because you have to be 45 or older to be a senior, so you can't really have guests that are less than that. The reason you can't have guests is that in paragraph 2.5.5 of the bylaws, which is the foundation for card members to have guests, there is no mention in the bylaws anywhere else that allows non-residents to have guests at association facilities. For that reason, I suggest that paragraph 3.5 be deleted, and I would also suggest that reference to senior in paragraph 4.1 be added back in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, do you want to respond?
Yes, this was addressed as well at the November 8th Sports Pavilion meeting. One of the discussions that ensued was if we put back in the age of 55, many of our bowling leagues, as I stated before, would lose a lot of our bowlers. And the bowling leagues are the heart and soul as far as revenue goes for our bowling alley, for Sports Pavilion. Right now, the leagues bring in around $50,000 to $52,000 a month revenue for our Sports Pavilion. If we change that to 55 and say throughout, that you can only have 55, and we cut that revenue in half, then we're going to be looking at something where, okay, now do we have to subsidize the bowling alley? Do we want to look into doing that? I mean, I don't, the committee itself said no, the committee voted to go with 45.
I do have a question for you, Lisa. Does this policy or any of these other bowling policies change the way the bowling alley operates right now?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
We have another person waiting in the background.
I just have a follow-up comment to what Lisa said. I admit that originally I was steadfast on 55. After further research and looking at the policy that's been in place prior to those red lines, 45 years old was defined, and you can clearly see, it says senior non-residents are defined as those individuals 45 and older. So I have no issue with that. My point is that those are the seniors, and that's what the bylaw gives the board authority to do, is recognize those senior non-resident people in the surrounding community, not everybody in the surrounding community. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'm Jolene Paskowski, 132268. So if we kept senior in that, and then we defined senior for bowling is 45 plus, wouldn't that then work with our bylaws? Just asking, because right now he's saying in our bylaws, it says you have to be a senior, right? And a senior, does our bylaws say that you are 55 and plus as a senior? No definition for senior. So could that alleviate this, that we leave senior in there, but say, according to, senior is a 45 plus in bowling? I don't know.
With the definition of senior being ambiguous, it's
Right.
relative to who you are.
Correct.
We have looked at this before. I don't see any inconsistency between the bylaw and this policy.
No.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a voice vote on this. Yes supports the motion, no denies the motion. Where do we start before? Start with Terry.
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
The Vector Novello?
Yes.
All right, it passes. All right. Continue, Director Fines.
Thank you, President Hurley. So with BO4, per recommendation of the Sports Pavilion Bowling Committee, I move that the governing board approve the renumbering of bowling policy BO4, bowling tournaments and bowling special events as redlined. BO4 is just a bowling
Let's
policy.
get a second first. Do we have a second? Dick seconds. All right, go ahead.
Okay. BO4 is just a bowling policy renumbering. There are no other changes.
Okay, any comments or questions? Comments or questions from the audience? All right, we're going to take a voice vote, starting with Christine. Yes, approves the motion, no denies the motion.
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Director Vines?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
All right, approved. Continue.
Thank you. BO5, per recommendation of the Sports Pavilion Bowling Committee, I move that the governing board approve the in-gross policy renumbering language revisions to bowling policy BO5, bowling leagues as redlined.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Kay seconds. Explain, Lisa, please.
Thank you. Okay, first off, it was previously BO4, went to BO5. We moved to 3.0. So we corrected from the reference from BO2 to BO3, slashed the senior non-resident bowling to non-resident bowling, cleared the subsection 3.1, that whole sentence was stricken, moved to 4.0, again, struck the 02 to 03, and again, struck the senior non-resident and added the non-resident bowling. And in 5.0, removed the reference from 03 to 04.
Okay, any comments or questions? Comments or questions from the audience? All right, going to move to a voice vote. Yes approves the motion, no denies the motion. We'll start with Director Hammond.
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Director Novello?
Yes.
All right, it approves. All right. Let's see, where are we? We have all of the bowling policies done?
Yes, that's all 5.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, moving down to 4.12, properties tours recap. Properties Chairman Kay Williams.
Properties Committee has spent 5 consecutive Tuesdays on October from 6:45 a.m. to about 9:30 each week, doing a thorough inspection of all of our properties, all the rec centers, looking at things that need repair, possible replacement, and looking at new capital projects. I am happy to say that we are through with that project. All of the reports have been completed and also given to Russ Boston and Carl Wilhelm. I'd like to give a big shout out to Russ, who we gave him these reports weekly, and almost by the next week, he had over half of those things on that first week's report already done. So we appreciate his staff and their quick response to things that we recognized that needed attention. Thanks to Carl for giving us such good information. We walked all of these areas, so it wasn't just a drive-by, and I'm happy to say that we are done, and that big major assignment with this committee is completed for this year.
Good, thank you. Any questions from the directors on that? All right, 4.13, Kay, you've got some policy revisions here.
Yeah. Per recommendation of the Properties Committee, I move that the governing board approve the strikeout to property policy FO1 capital projects planning process subsection 2.1 as redlined.
Do we have a second? Alan seconds. All right, would you explain this, Kay?
Yes, this policy talks about the capital project planning process, and the only change that we made was a deletion of 3 words in 2.1. That section deals with the criteria for using capital project planning process. It covers the repurposing or elimination of a facility, renovation, and proposed new facility. There were no other changes to that document.
Okay, questions or comments for Kay? Any questions or comments from the audience? All right, we're gonna, you have a comment? All right.
Gary Bach, 135435. So we're saying that you don't need input from members if you're going to renovate something like we're talking about. There was a request for renovation for the library, that you could go ahead and approve that and do that.
No, that's not what
Without-
we're saying.
So if you could clarify.
All of those projects go through multiple opportunities for the residents' input. From the very early stages, I'll give you an example. When we redid the RHJ swimming pool, that project involved 2.5 years of resident input in the project. So it's not something that would be discontinued. It just didn't feel like this was the right place in the document to be placed. That was the reason for the recommendation to remove it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, seeing no other comments, we'll go to a voice vote. Yes supports the motion, no denies the motion. We'll start with Christine.
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
All right, approved. Continue, Director Williams.
Have a motion for that, per se.
Policy FAO2.
Yes, but we don't have a motion for that.
Okay. Is it standing?
Right. Yeah,
All right.
I'd just like to make a comment on it.
Sure, go ahead.
Yes, 4.02 is a policy that speaks to donations, memorialization, naming, and advertising guide. There were no changes made to the text at all. However, it's kind of a unique setup. On that document, there is a link to a document called Guidelines. That was not part of the policy, so it is not up to our purview to make changes in it. However, upon looking at it, we did make some recommendations that have been formalized and sent to Mr. Schwind, General Manager, and hope that his operations staff can take a look at updating those areas that we felt they just needed to review. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions on this? No action is required, so.
No.
Okay, you may continue, please.
Okay. Flip the page. For recommendations of the Properties Committee, I move that the governing board approve the engrossed language revisions to Properties Policy F09, Alcohol Restriction on Association Property, subsection 4.1, as redlined.
Do we have a second? Ellen seconds. All right, Kay, will you explain what this changes are, please?
Okay, the revisions on that document, under 4.1, a temporary state special event license is not required if an event is sponsored by a chartered club or other official group, i.e. governing board, standing committee. The rest of that paragraph has been deleted. In 4.2, association members, charter clubs, or non-chartered clubs. And then the addition is, and their bona fide guest may consume alcohol at an event if 4.2.1, as it originally written, has been deleted and replaced with, the event is not open to the public. 4.2.2, the individual members may bring their own alcohol to the event. However, it cannot be consumed within the premises of a licensed site, in other sections 3.0 and 5.0. And then the addition is referred to ARS 4-101 for term definitions and additional state mandated information. Those are the only changes.
Okay, any questions, comments? Okay, you had one of your members thoroughly research this, right?
Yes. This year I decided to try something different, and I set up two work study groups among our members. Each had half of the things we're responsible for. The team that was involved in this one did a great deal of research with Arizona liquor license requirements and regulations, and presented it to us very thoroughly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Christine, you have a comment, question?
Assuming this moves forward, Kay and team, have you, it sounds like This is going to greatly simplify and answer a lot of questions and concerns that I've heard from residents. So thank you to you and your team for the research and for doing this. As a part of this, though, our staff at the licensed facilities may need a quick refresher on the changes. Is that part of our rollout plan?
That will be an operations responsibility.
Thank you.
Lisa?
I would like, I'm sorry, Lisa.
I'm probably going to ask, thank you, President Hurley, what you're asking, but has staff gone over this, Kay? Like
Yes, they've
Casey?
been involved in our meetings.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, I'm going to ask the general manager to make a comment. The question of liquor on our properties has come up before, and I think he may have some comments on it, hopefully.
Talking about liquor, I think we're in a good spot. All of our golf courses and all of our staff there get annual licensing and certifications to be able to serve. So we do a training program with them on an annual basis. This clears up a lot of issues that we were having when it comes to special events. Casey and her team now, as far as ticket sales go, to a lot of our special events, we no longer sell to outside general public individuals. So it's all owner member. So it's all in-house. Fencing is going up now, I believe, on a permanent basis out at Beardsley Park to formulate that barrier. So all of the controls that the state liquor department is implying as far as mandated scenarios such as that are all being adhered to. And like I said, I think we're in pretty good spot.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Jack.
The other thing that this does is it makes it a lot clearer for the chartered clubs when they may or may not, when they may, which is all the time. So
Okay.
it's great.
All right, any other questions? Dick?
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Schwind. Is there any difference between the requirements and the precautions that we have to follow when we serve beer and beer in the clubhouses relative to the Lizard Acres?
Differences?
Yeah, differences in do we have the same protocols that we have to follow?
Yes, sir.
So it's really not different from Lizard Acres than it is to the.
The licenses are the same.
Yeah, and actually I wanted just to clarify that point because I've heard feedback about Lizard Acres that, oh my gosh, are we going to be responsible for something happening there when somebody drinks too much? But it's the same issue.
It is.
Whether
Correct. It is.
That's what I wanted to establish.
Yeah. And I think the big problem that we had with the popularity of Lizard Acres, and the same as for golf, we do have patios for people to enjoy themselves after a round of golf, which is fine. It's outdoors, and we obviously don't want people driving off with open containers. And we have the same thing at Lizard Acres. Lizard Acres is a little different. We were experiencing folks kind of bringing their own alcohol into the facility like they would normally do to a special event or something like that. But with a liquor license, you cannot do that. So Barry and his staff have been containing that. So that's all being checked now on special events, people going into that. There's no longer people bringing in alcohol. So those are really the only differences that I can think of. Thank you.
Okay. Harry?
That you brought up golf courses, the area of the golf course. If people, they bring their birdie shots and stuff out on the course, which I assume is not the licensed site, but what is the licensed site at a clubhouse?
Based on our mapping that we get our licensing on, parking lot, patios, clubhouses, and the like. I don't know anything about birdie shots.
Careful. All right, any other questions or comments? Any questions or comments from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we're going to take a voice vote. Yes supports the motion, no denies the motion. Start with Terry.
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Director Novello?
Yes.
All right, it passes. All right, Kay, you have some other policies that you've reviewed.
Yes, the other team reviewed policies FO6, 7, 9, and 10. There are no changes in FO6, FO7. FO8 is a work in progress since last summer and hopes to come to this board in a final form next month. FO9, we've already talked about this morning, and FA10 had no changes. So that completes all of them that we were responsible for reviewing.
Great, that requires no action.
Requires no action.
Moving right along, 4.17, golf tours recap. Director Standenbein.
The golf committee toured Echo Mesa and Grandview as they were coming out of overseeding, and everything looked very good at these courses. We had the majority of the committee there and some of the board members. And we decided with discussion with Todd that we will hold off going to the other courses till this spring and see how things come out of overseed back to the normal turf. And so in April, we'll probably have another tour or two just to see and then decide if we need to do the other courses this year or they can do them next year.
Okay, thank you, Harry. Any questions for Harry? Okay, this requires no action. We're going to move right to 4.18, a motion. And that is, I think, Harry, you're going to do the motion.
In line with policy FI-10 procurement policy, I move that the governing board approve additional funds in the amount of $71,791 from the fiscal year 23-24 capital savings be used to secure the purchase of a new Echo Mesa submersible motor and bowel assembly.
Do we have a second? Dick seconds. All right, Harry, will you explain this, or will we have Todd come down and explain what this is, please?
I think Todd could probably do a lot better job of explaining than I could.
Todd Patty, our Environmental Services Manager.
All right, thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Just to give you a little background, as Harry mentioned, today we're presenting the facts and findings for the repair, replacement of the Echo Mesa well pump submersible motor and bowl assembly. Right before overseeding, we discovered that we had a failure at the Echo Mesa well site. Weber Water Resources was able to determine that the 200 horsepower submersible motor needed to be replaced along with the bowl assembly and one section of column pipe. The Echo Mesa well pump is a critical component of not only the Echo Mesa golf course, but also the other 7 golf courses due to its high output and ability to transfer water to the other golf courses. An action requested today, we are requesting additional funds in the amount of $71,791 from the 23-24 capital savings to secure the purchase and repair of the Echo Mesa well pump.
All right, do we have any questions or comments for Todd? Harry?
This would be more of a question to Cliff. As I'm reading this, this is coming out of savings, so it's not a increased capital expenditure where we're going over the budget.
That's correct. We currently have through September roughly $350,000 in savings after we completed our asphalt projects. And so there is money available in the budget, and we're proposing to use those funds to cover this emergency purchase.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Any comments or questions from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we're going to take a voice vote. Yes approves the motion, no denies the motion. We'll start.
Do I need?
Oh, I'm sorry, please read the motion again. Thank you, Harry.
In line with policy FI-10 procurement policy, I move that the governing board approve additional funds in the amount of $71,791 from the fiscal year 23-24 capital savings be used to secure the purchase of a new Echo Mesa submersible motor and bowl assembly.
Okay, thank you. We'll do a voice vote. Yes approves the motion, no denies the motion. Christine?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
You guys are easy today. All right. Next item on the agenda is 4.19, chat with the board events update. Vice President Lisa Vines.
Thank you, President Hurley. First off, I'd like to thank all the directors for participating. I really appreciate your help on this. I'd like to thank Karen for helping us set it up. Katie, thank you for all the swag you provided. Appreciate it. And a shout out to all the residents who came by and visited us. It went well. People came by, asked a lot of questions, talked about just various topics, nothing in particular. It was nice to see everybody, and there was really just nothing in particular.
Okay,
So,
great. And you have more of those scheduled, correct?
We are done for now. I'm happy to do more. I think Karen and I talked about maybe more after the first of the year,
Okay.
and I'll have to get with Katie and see if she has more swag for us.
There's always swag. All right,
Thank
thank you. Last item of the new business is 4.20, recommendations by committee for the fiscal year 24-25 proposed capital budget discussions. What this was is Carl Wilhelm, our capital projects manager, presented to each one of the committees the capital projects, the new capital projects, the repair and replacement capital projects, and the not assumptions, the allowances. There you go. And each one of the committees came back with some recommendations. And I think what I'll do is, these are recommendations that go to the general manager for his consideration as moving these projects forward. These are not denials of these projects. They are just concerns that the committees had. And the first one, the Lizard Acres Bar Room Renovation and Equipment. The B&F committee was, I'm going to let B&F talk later because they had a couple of these things, but the properties and sports path, properties had some concerns, Sport Pass moved it forward, okay? The tennis renovation facility at Kuntz, properties had some concerns and Charter Club had some concerns. The softball field outfield fence replacement, properties had some concerns and Charter Clubs did not. The Silvercraft millwork and countertops, Charter Clubs had some concerns on that. And then moving down, there was actually on the revised lawn bowling benches, 48 benches, the properties actually asked to move that to the current fiscal 23-24 budget, which will be addressed later. And that was the properties court. The Properties Committee had some concerns on the Palm Ridge Pickleball Courts climate-controlled monitor station. Dick, would you like to read the ones that B&F had some issues with?
We, in BNF, it was very difficult to come to closure on any of the issues that we had. Some of them were really major issues, and we just didn't feel that we wanted to recommend removing it or not removing it, simply because we needed more information. We actually have a list of 13. The Kuntz softball field, the outfield replacement, I guess we call it the tennis facility in Kuntz, and that conversion to, as it's planned, to a dual purpose use. Silvercraft, the millwork and the countertops, patio furniture and the golf courses, a tractor with a backhoe, Lizard Acres, a lot of discussion on Lizard Acres, library expansion, lawn bowling chairs replacement, Palm Ridge, the bathroom partitions. I have no idea why the loss of toilet paper brings up so many people's ire. So, but it's legitimate. Pool decking, Echo Mesa irrigation issues, Palm Ridge cardio and strength training equipment, and the Beardsley Rec Center fitness room floor replacement.
Is that it? Okay, these are just recommendations that came from the committees. Like I say, they will be taken into consideration. The governing board will approve all individual capital projects over $100,000, and we'll also review every capital project over $50,000 individually. So we're still a far way away from finalizing the budget.
Tim, if I
Yes.
could,
Karen, Kay.
Yes, I just wanted to stress, so there was no confusion. The Palm Ridge pickleball courts have a monitor that sits out in 115-degree weather. And after walking all over our locations, I think that is a critical need, and our committee felt very strongly on this, that we add a climate-controlled monitor station for consideration at the pickleball courts at Palm Ridge. Wintertime, they're dressed up like Eskimos trying to stay warm, and we can have staff there limited hours because of the heat and the cold. So right now, that has been staffed from 6 in the morning until 10 or 11, depending on weather. And it presents a problem year-round, and we just felt it's something that should be added and given consideration.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments on this? Lisa?
Thank you, President Hurley. Kay, if this is something that Carl is looking at, or?
This is something we have asked him to look at. And I believe, Carl, you came up with the estimated cost of about 50,000 plus.
This was an item that they brought forward from their committee for capital projects.
Yes.
Okay, so if it's something, I was just going to ask.
Go ahead.
If this is something that we want to go forward with, would we extend the hours for the monitor?
That would be ideal, because it's a little senseless to have rules with nobody there to enforce them.
Correct, thank you.
Carl, do you have a comment on this?
So my question is a recommendation from the board to include a new line item with this title of some format of monitor station at pickleball. I can't answer Director Williams' question about finances. We had more speculative guesses on cost, but talking it over with staff in our limited time frame that we have discussed this, there's a cost associated with putting a guard shack of some form there, infrastructure impacts, so those will have costs associated to it. From a budgetary employee, yes, there will be an employee enhancement there, so you'll have some impact there. And in the next cycle, with your approval, I will have a line item with more information.
Okay, thank
Because
you.
it's not currently in this document.
Christine, do you have a question?
I do. It's likely more procedural or process. What's the purpose of this activity? The step, it's new, and we're always looking for ways to improve our budgeting process. For example, Carl and team have come to every update this year noting exactly what's changed, and that's like huge transparency, very helpful. This particular step, I remain confounded, both at the committee level and here. Are we simply discussing these items and putting a flag on them saying we're concerned, or questions? I guess, I don't know if it's for you, Tim, or if it's for our general manager. What is this effort, this specific effort recommendation trying to accomplish?
What it's trying to accomplish is that the committees see all the projects that apply to their area of expertise. And they make recommendations whether they think it should go forward or whether it shouldn't.
Right.
And as usual, there's always a difference between what the different committees think should go forward and should not.
Right.
So it's just a matter of bringing those concerns forward so that the general manager can incorporate those into his planning process. And then as we go on the process later on, we'll approve everything that's over $100,000, and we'll review everything that's over $50,000.
Thanks.
So it's a matter of bringing the committee recommendations forward to the board level.
Understood. And therefore, for not only for myself, but for anybody who's been watching and listening, we're not approving anything. We're not recommending anything. We're literally just flagging some concerns for operational.
Correct.
Thank you.
Jack, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I do. I just wanted to explain a little bit about what chartered clubs saw. The Silvercraft millwork and countertops was a big ticket item. I think it was $375,000, and their concern there was that it's a big ticket item. And is there something that could be done to reduce that? The other one that the committee had a concern about is the Kuntz Tennis Facility renovation and court conversion. The concern there is that the number of tennis courts and pickleball courts that remain unused during the course of a day. Why would we add new courts when we are not currently using at capacity? So that was the primary concern there. Plus, there was a compelling argument made by a pickleball club member on why this would be a bad idea. So that was what influenced the Charter Clubs Committee.
This is just all part of the process of vetting the individual capital projects. And this type of discussion is exactly what we need, not only to come to our own mind of what we should approve or not, but also to let the residents and cardholders know what our thinking process is during this whole budget process. KJ, you have a comment?
Yes, I wanted to mention that we also had a guest at our last meeting from the pickleball club who started by saying, I'm going to say something you never thought you'd hear a pickleball person say. We don't want courts at Kuntz. She expressed all kinds of reasons why it was not a practical idea, and we valued her input. We appreciate that she came. One of the bigger concerns that hadn't been addressed was the issue of adequate parking places and the greater number of vehicles that would be there playing pickleball than are there playing tennis. And so she brought out some very good points, and we appreciated her. So I just wanted to let her know that we didn't ignore what you told us. Thank you.
Part of the process is floating ideas out there of here's some capital projects we would like. That doesn't mean that Carl has a fully formed idea of what it's going to take, how much it's going to cost, and other ramifications that it might have, like parking. It's just a matter of once the project get approved, that's when he goes into action and starts bringing in the dollars and cents. Am I correct?
That is correct. And for everybody's comfort level, this is the document that gets turned in to the general manager. And the next 4 months, you are going to see presentations on everything 50,000 and greater with a higher level of detail, architectural planning pages if that's what it needs in the document. And you'll have plenty of opportunity to ask these questions all over again.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions from the governing board? I see we have a audience question, comment?
Yes, Jan Stittelberg, 133926.
Welcome.
First of all, I want to thank those of you who actually showed up to tour the Silver Club. I'm the Silver Club remodeling chair, and I know that the Properties Committee came through, and they saw what a place we live in for days. For those who don't know, Silver Club is just right across the way. It's just right on the walking tour for a lot of new members coming through. A lot of people come in and look at it, and some people have been saying that, I don't know if I want to join this club. It looks like a dump in here. This is what one of our property committee members actually called it, a dump. We have tape holding cabinets together. We have cabinets that are too tall, so it's a serious safety issue. We have ADA violations. We have no real place for a classroom. So that's a number of reasons why we want this remodeling to go through. We're not just doing things to make it look spiffy. We're doing things to make it easier and better for our members. And we would totally enjoy all of you to come in anytime you want to, take a tour. I understand that possibly December 4th has been a date that you might come over as a group.
Yes.
And we'll show you what we're doing and what we want to do in detail. A couple of committees said that they don't want to do the cabinets and refacing because they would cost too much money. But the problem is they want to do the floors. We're taking out some cabinets, so when we take out the cabinets, we're going to have to redo the floors anyway. And this is not really the best way to do the process. But it's not the way you want to do a kitchen, is 1 year do the floors, 1 year do the cabinets. So, and it's also be a huge problem having the club closed a couple times year after year, just to have all the equipment moved so we can move things around, all the lockers moved around, whatever we have to do. So I would encourage you to approve this process in total right away.
Okay, thank you. Just for clarification, the committees make recommendations. It's the board that actually decides, excuse me, which project is going to go forward or not. Once the board makes that decision, it's then the duty of the chairman to take those, what the board has decided back to his committee or her committee and let them know what's been going on. So I hope that clarifies things.
Thank you.
All right. We have reached the point
One more
for,
speaker.
oh, I'm sorry, Dick, go ahead.
Hi, Nick Turner, 131829. I'm a member of the Chartered Clubs Committee, and that's already made its recommendation, but I'm speaking personally now. And I will just echo what the previous speaker has said, because one thing I've noticed is that the people who have visited the Silvercraft Room have voted in favour of spending the money, and the people who have not visited the Silvercraft Room have not voted in favour of spending the money. So I would encourage you, do go and look. It's more than cabinets, it's more than tables and chairs. There's power that needs rerouting, there's all kinds of things. There's cables coming down from holes in the ceiling. It really does need work, and it could be a showcase for this community where all the visitors come in and stay.
The board has arranged with the president of the Silver Club before our next GM Ops meeting to come over and take a tour of it. So we will look at it. All right. And any other questions, any comments? All right. We're going to move into director comments. I'm going to start down with Christine. Christine, you have any comments?
None at this time.
Harry?
No.
Lisa?
No, thank you.
Jack?
Nope.
Okay.
Yes, I want to give special thanks to the hardworking members of my committee for going on all these walkthroughs and spending a lot of time and asking a lot of questions. Special thanks also to Russ and Carl, but also special thanks to Russ and Carl for the preliminary work they did between July and September on looking over that first look at the budget and going, oh my gosh, there are some things that have got to go right now. So they have put a lot of effort into it, and I just want to make sure they know how much we appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kay. Dick, do you have any comments?
I do. First of all, I want to tell you how much I appreciate having such a large audience today. I think that it says volumes that you feel strongly enough that you want to be engaged and to see how we operate and to see that how we make decisions and come to conclusions on different issues. This is what you see is what you're getting. And everything is, we try to be as transparent as possible. I think overall we do a pretty good job of transparency. So if you just, and I would also invite you from my own selfish perspective to come to the Budget and Finance Committee meetings as well. And we post those. Those are really about every 2 weeks. So the next one is the 21st of November. So thank you for showing up, and thank you for your focus and your interest.
All right. Thank you, Dick. Alan, you have some comments?
I have no comments, thank you.
Terry?
No comment.
Okay. We have comments from the audience. Step right up and give us your name and rec number, please, as if we don't know it already.
Lynn Kellis, 129120. First comment I would like to make was regarding chatting with the board. A couple of years ago, I did go to the engagement that we had to meet the new members that were running for the board. And one of my questions at that time is, how are you going to step out and try to meet the community? Because there just really wasn't a vehicle to do that before. And I don't know whether or not it was a really great turnout this time, but I would really like to say thank you and encourage you to do that again and just get the word out that you guys are there to talk and to answer those questions. I think it's very helpful. Thank you. The next item is regarding pickleball. I totally agree they need to have something out there in that hot sun to protect them. I'm not a pickleballer, but I've been out there several times. But the question I have is, why do the rest of us in our clubs require our members to be the monitors? Not why. I mean, I think that's a good thing. There's a lot of advantages to doing that. I'm wondering why pickleball doesn't need to use their own people to monitor. You know, if they build a nice little shed or something out there, they've got a whole lot more people in their club than most of us do. And it just seems kind of strange that we would have to pay a monitor to sit out there all day long, where we could do 4-hour stints at doing it.
Great question. Jack, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that. I think the reason is because that the pickleball courts are not totally dedicated to the pickleball club. They get a portion of them, but as homeowners, they can go out and use the pickleball courts as well. And if they bring guests, they need to not only sign in as a homeowner who's made a reservation, but they also need to make sure the monitor would need to make sure that the guest fee has been paid.
I understand that, and I understand how Kuntz is run, or I'm not Kuntz, but Sands is run compared to Palm Ridge. But there are so many times when it is just tournaments and pickleball only. At those events, in my opinion, and when pickleballers are out there playing, in my opinion, they should be monitoring that.
Okay.
And that's all.
Great suggestion.
Thanks.
All right, do we have any other comments? Yes, sir.
Gary Bach, 135-435. I have a kind of a several-part question about the process that we follow for budgeting, maybe for some clarification. So I'm going to use a little bit of the softball fence as an example. I'm not making any comment on the softball fence, it's just an example. So the first part of my question is, when we start out with the budget, operations comes up with an amount for the budget. And my question is, how do they come up with that initial amount?
The budget is actually comprised of 3 portions. One is new capital projects that can either come out of the tours or the clubs or the general manager. The second part is repair and replacement that comes out of the reserve study. That's probably the biggest portion of the money that goes into the capital budget that comes out of repair and replacement. The reserve study goes out 30 years, okay? And when a project comes up it's due to be replaced, Carl and Russ will go out and look at it. Does it need to be replaced? Does it have any future life? Does it need to replace faster? And that's how it ends up on that particular year's budget, okay? The third portion is allowances, which are basically unforeseen things that can happen. And we budget a certain amount of money for those 3 things, okay? That's the capital side of the budget. On the operational side of the budget, it really depends. There's really 2 big movers on that, wages and energy. And that really sets the tone for what the operational side of the budget's going to be.
All right. But my question was just basically, we get an initial amount for like the softball fence. Where did how did they come up with that?
That comes out of the reserve study. The reserve study is all capital items over $5,000 that have more than a 5-year useful life, okay? And it gets tracked as far as what the replacement cost of that is over time. So when the fence comes up, it actually came up last year. When it came up, it had a dollar amount attached to it in the reserve study. You add all those dollars up, and that's what our portion of the fully funded balance is. You've heard that term before?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where it comes from. It's actually a part of the reserve study that figures out how much it would cost to replace that item.
Okay. And then the second question is, we got a price on the fencing initially, and then a couple of months later or whatever, we got an updated price. So it changed. How and why did that change? And this is on any project, it's not.
Short story, 2 years ago, when we first looked at the fence, it was quoted at almost $750,000. When we did a more recent quote on it, because the company that originally quoted it went out of business. When we did a more recent quote on it, it came way down. So that's what the difference in the 2 prices was.
Okay. And my understanding is that we will have more talks about this. You're going to discuss each one of these items. So my question is, during those discussions, not changing the scope of the project. So not saying, oh, we're not going to do this, we're only going to put up an 8-foot fence rather than a 30. Could there be a price change during that time?
Absolutely. The closer we get to the actual budget, the more work that Carla has been able to do to nail down what the actual price is going to be. He'll have a very good estimate. Once the project is approved, that's when he'll go out for bid and get the actual pricing of what it's going to take. Okay? So the budget is kind of like a forecast of what we think the price is going to be, but when he actually starts the project, we will get the quotes that will actually nail down what we're going to cut the invoice for.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Anyone else? Did you really hurt your arm, or is that just sympathy to sell tickets?
Suzanne Jones, 110-391. And yes, I'm going for the sympathy vote. I had rotator cuff surgery, so. But the Dream Car Raffle is coming up, and we're going to be giving away this gorgeous 2016 Mustang that's a red, has a convertible top. It's a beautiful car, and all of you would look marvelous in that car. And all it takes is for you to buy one ticket. One ticket is $20. But you know, you might not win the Mustang. We also have a $500 gift that you might win from that, or a $200 prize. So you have 3 different opportunities to win with only one ticket. So come on down. I have tickets with me. I'm glad to take your money. And it all goes to a worthy cause, because that $25,000 check you saw earlier, this helps to support that, plus many, many other charities throughout our community. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Director Vaughn, do you have a question?
Yeah, don't go away. Are you still doing the tennis shoe drive?
Yes, we are.
Super. Thank
We're
you.
collecting tennis shoes as well. Any used tennis shoe, bring them down to ARC. We'll put them in the bin, and they go to a worthy cause. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
No, my husband will thank her when I empty my closet.
Yes, ma'am, do you have a comment?
Sherry Cooper, 1380-33-34. In regards to the pickleball monitor, I guess I'm a little thrown off because we have the monitor there. It's my understanding we have them because people are using them that aren't supposed to be using them. Is that correct?
Partially, yeah.
Okay. But we don't have monitors. We only have them at Liberty. We don't have them at Sands. All we have is a sign-in sheet at Sands. We don't even have a clicker, to sign in with our cards. So are we only concerned of Liberty? Because people can easily use Sands as well. So I guess, do we need a monitor? Maybe we need to come up with different procedures.
This is actually
just an
attempt-
idea.
This is actually an attempt to come up with a different procedure because of the reported use of the pickleball courts by outside players. So it's just a matter of making sure that if people do bring a guest, that they're paying the guest fee.
So maybe we need to do it at both, at Liberty and Sands, because
We are-
Sands, there's no control whatsoever
We
right
are
now.
just at the very beginning of the
Okay.
whole process.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? One more.
Sally Mercer, 130015. So I'm going to speak kind of from both sides of the fence. I have been a monitor out at Palm Ridge Pickleball Courts, and I am now a monitor permanently inside at Palm Ridge Pickleball Courts. What I have found is that we currently have one paid monitor, 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, 4 days on, 4 days off. Minimal amount of hours compared to the amount of hours we require for all those pickleballs. They are there from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m., 7 days a week. So we are understaffed in that area. And part of the problem is, and I know it would be lovely if they would have their own monitors and make it nice and simple. What I have found is, as being a monitor inside, we're required to go out hourly and count the amount of pickleball people attending. What I have found is the pickleball members that are a part of the club always wear their tags. That's a requirement. They have to wear their badge. So when I'm out there frequently, there's a number of people out there without any badges who have not checked in with me or not paid a fee. I know the ones that come in, there's not very many. And so I think we have a real discrepancy there as far as who's actually paying to be there as pickleball club members or just members and guests. So I'm also concerned that when I go out there to count, I've often seen them letting people in the side gate, the back gate. So we have a huge number, I think, maybe I shouldn't say huge, but a number unreported people using the pickleball courts who may need to be paying. So I think finding a resolution would be good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just a point of clarification. The monitor facility came out of the Properties Committee as a suggestion for capital projects. Okay, that's one side of it. The other side about having a monitor out there and being understaffed is all in the court of the general manager. Okay, so this was just a suggestion of one way to have somebody out there looking, but it's really up to the general manager how he decides to enforce it and how he decides to staff it. So, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Bruce, did you have a comment? Okay. All right. Our next workshop is December 8th at 9 o'clock here in the lecture hall. The next governing board general meeting is December 21st here, 9 o'clock in the lecture hall. Okay. My next office hours are December 12th from 10 to 1, but I can be met by appointment. And if you'll call Karen Repkin, our governing board executive assistant, 623-544-6115, correct? Okay. She can set up an appointment for us. And, or you can email me. My email address is tim.hurley, Hurley, at Sun City West. Please spell out Sun City West. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 10:27.